we've got both the gaffers back again.
Yes.
They're both here this week. Can you fill us in, since we last saw you, what's happened with Leeds?
If that's the objective, he'll be out of a job very soon.
Leeds need to hit the ground running, which is today. Not tomorrow, but today.
They'll cover up. It'll be Beauty versus the Beast. I'll be ripping the pen out of their hands and signing that contract as quick as I possibly could. You want to fight them, they'll beat you up.
They'll do you, yeah, definitely.
You want to play football against them, they'll do that as well.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill. And we've got both the gaffers back again.
Yes.
They're both here this week. Sam Allardyce, Tim Sherwood. Thank you. Welcome to you both.
Good to see you again, Natalie, and you, Tim.
Thank you very much. Good to be back. Went to the cup final on the weekend.
What did you think?
I thought they were very efficient. I think Man United are absolutely miles away from catching them at the moment. I mean, it was just proved that at the weekend. Obviously got off to a fantastic start, wonderful strike from Gundogan. But I just feel like United have got a core of players there, but they haven't got enough. They haven't got enough. Certainly if they're going to keep tabs with Man City, they're miles ahead of everyone. So who is going to catch them?
Oh, I like that. Hopefully not Inter Milan, but we'll get on to that. Sam, did you watch the cup final?
I watched it all with great interest, of course, and I agree with Tim that Manchester United have a fair way to go to be chasing them for next season, I feel, and of course my look at the game and watch the game is always very interesting in terms of how I think, and where Man City have changed the way they play to all down on the floor, pass to not only down on the floor, pass, but bang, let's get it off our hand, let's get it knocked down, let's go in behind. And so the variation has brought a new dimension to Man City.
Yeah.
And that caused Manchester United a huge amount of problems because I don't think they expected that. And I think that, and I didn't expect it, but I've never seen them, play as direct as that.
Yeah.
Obviously, with such quality that they've got, and the way that they pick the ball up and the loose ball, and then attack the opposition. So then the opposition are caught between, what do we do now? Do we press them? Do we sit back? So when they saw that Manchester United were pressing them, is when they went off the front man, and it paid huge dividends
after 13 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. But the quality of the goal, of course, the quality of the finish. They're just outstanding. And I mean, I don't think they can afford to let him go.
Oh gosh,
Gundogan. Yeah.
My first game at Leeds, he scored 2. You know what I mean? And it just pops up with his timing of his runs in the right area, and he's a wonderful
not only that,
finisher.
Sam, back end of the season he turns up. I mean, he done it last year, didn't he? When they struck the couple of goals he got at Villa, at the back post. He's just a big game player. Hard to replace, but they do it. They do replace them. We've talked about it.
Well, they do.
Time and time.
They're the best at it now. I mean, I think that even Alvarez has scored 18 goals, and he's probably only played about 25, 26 matches this season. Foden can't get in and regular, but he's Mahrez can't. It's like such a team. You know what I mean?
Did Mahrez get a hat-trick in the semi-final?
Yeah.
Can't get a kick.
I know. But you got to admire them for who they are and what they've done and how they run the club from top to bottom, and that's why every club that reaps the reward like that isn't just about the coach, is it?
Yeah.
I heard rumour. I know nothing about Gundogan. I'm never in the know. I don't like to be in the know because I don't want to accidentally slip something up at any point. But rumours going around on social media that he's close to a new deal. So everything crossed for that. So since we saw you last week, Sam, obviously the Leeds situation it's not even resolved itself, has it? Because you've been linked with another job at Leeds now. Can you fill us in? Since we last saw you, what's happened with Leeds?
Well, I think if I could stay in touch with Leeds as much as I had a short period of time, I'd be only too happy to think about a new or a different position in terms of helping restructure the club from behind, and not on the hotline, the front line, where it itches the most. Like you mean, and I think that if that's the case, I would be only too willing to talk to him, because even my short spell as much and as disappointed it was to get there, it's such a big club and such a great club and such a great bunch of fans. And I'd be only too willing to help restructure in terms of where the club wants to go for it. Probably shorten its long-term future. And my feeling is that the need is now, but obviously at the top end, there's a little bit of dispute about the ownership of the club. You know, is it with Andre in the 49ers that the 49ers want to buy it out? Or Andre's not getting the price he wants by the sound of it, and that causes a lot of confusion when, you know, there really don't need to be any confusion. There need to be a track set out and follow that. But I feel that because Carl and Robbie did so well, that they would be ideal to take over the running of the football side. Carl's huge experience as a manager, and I know the Leeds fans are lucky with Carl Robinson, but down in the lower divisions, he's learnt his trade, he's done his time, he's a great communicator. I know I could leave him at any single time for whatever reason and not be there and know the place would be running the right way. And Robbie, even though I only knew him from Soccer Aid, but with him for the short period of time, brilliant around the players and give a great vibe to everybody. And they know all the staff and they know all the players. So they can hit the ground running, and Leeds need to hit the ground running, which is today, not tomorrow, but today.
Yeah.
And if they choose to go somewhere else, which they might do, probably if I look at it realistic more than likely, then, you know, good luck to them. But that will be another transition that I don't think the players need, because they've had 3 transitions, including me, last season, caused a huge amount of different styles, different attitudes, different ways of coaching, different ways of playing. And I think there's a certain amount of confusion amongst the players on, you know, well, that coach wanted this coach wanted that coach wants this. So I think that Carl and Robbie would be ideal to come and get in there and start the process of what needs to be done for next season, because there isn't a lot of time. And Leeds really need to hit the ground running by doing all their business as quick as they possibly can. Who is going to have to leave? What financial implications there are? Because we know that's the biggest thing. And what will the team and the squad look like? And obviously with Carl and Robbie understanding not just all the players there, but all the staff. So it's an easy transition and financially very sound, which you have to think of all things when you're going down to the Championship. So that's my ideal, whether Leeds would go that way. I don't know, but certainly if those 2 got there, I'd be happy. If they didn't invite me, fine, fair enough. If they did, I'd be only too happy to help them.
Sam, if you're advising Andre, would you tell him to postpone the sale for a season?
Is Andre the owner?
Yeah. Because they're never going to get a better chance, are they, of getting promotion rather than next season? Next season is the one to hit with the parachute payments, maybe keep their best players, see how many players you're buying into, taking the challenge into the Championship. Would you advise him to stay around for one more year to get a better price? Because obviously if he sells now, he's reducing his price, isn't he, to the 49ers?
He is reducing his price to 49ers, and I am no real knowledge of what both financial positions are, but, you know, what are the financial implications for both parties? And, you know, I think Leeds, we all know, to try and get back up again, they're going to have to lose money next season.
Yeah.
And who can afford to lose that? You know, and which party can both parties come together and say, well, we're probably looking at a loss of this amount.
Yeah.
And can you afford that loss?
Yeah.
And I know the 49ers want to buy it. And I know the 49ers had it bought, had I stayed up, which would have been the ideal scenario for me, Andre, and everybody. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But you know, I think if he's looking elsewhere, which, you know, I hear rumours that he wants to buy Sampdoria. I don't know how true that is, then is almost choosing that he wants to go somewhere else, But that's obviously for the club itself to get together around the table, and I hope they can do that as quickly as possible, and whatever happens is sorted out as quickly as you can, because there's nothing worse, Tim, than unsettlement at the board level.
Yeah,
it's really, as a coach or a manager, it's very difficult to do what you want to do and run the club and get the club as successful as you want to be if there's a lot of disruption up there.
Yeah. Well, the worst thing they can do in my eyes is bringing in a foreign sporting director at this stage, especially to take on. Perhaps you can get away with it in the Premier League. I think it's very difficult in the Championship. You need to know the league you're in. It's two-pronged attack. Get out of the Championship and then survive in the Premier League and then do better than that. And I think Sam would be well equipped to do that.
So they currently don't have a director of football. Did he leave when the last manager, around about the same last time as the last manager, I think it was. So are you in active talks with them about director of football?
Not at the moment. I think that Angus, who's I've known exceptionally well from his West Ham days when we worked together, and he obviously saw me work there. In all fairness, probably Angus would have wanted me in a lot sooner, and I would have wanted to be a lot sooner. But I think that was the director of football at that time that poo-pooed that situation. So I've known him an awful long time. He's a key element in the whole structure, Angus, of Leeds United. I think that, and I think that going in the right direction and planning out as quickly as you can is what you want to do. And if I'm involved in that, I'd be only too happy to. I think that when I give somebody, I think so people should realise this: if I give somebody the okay, he's not a friend. He is a friend as such, but not. I worked with him only for a few months at Blackburn Rovers, but I have been in contact with him ever since then and followed his career very, very closely. So I'm not recommending a friend, I'm recommending somebody.
In terms of Carl?
Yeah, and who I think is capable, more than capable, deserves the opportunity. And if you look at his record, it's an outstanding record in terms of where he's been at the football clubs he's been. And I know that people look at that down in the lower divisions, but, we all have to start somewhere and work our way. So I'd have never got to the top if somebody had ignored me down there. Yeah. You know what I mean? But eventually I did. Yeah. And I think Carl deserves a crack. Whether he gets it or not, we'll have to wait and see.
We will, thank you. So that is the current Leeds situation.
And that's the first time I've spoke to him. Oh, so you've got the exclusive today, because I knew it was our last episode, so everybody's been ringing me, and I've been clicking the phone, so I'm waiting. I'm thinking, we'll do it together, because we've had a great run this season, haven't we? Since the start of the World Cup. So I'd like to thank everybody that's watched us over the last few months, and we've really enjoyed it. And we'd look forward to seeing them next season, won't we, hopefully?
We do, and thank you for saving that for us then. Is there anything else before we move on? Is there anything else you want to say on the Leeds situation, or anything else around that? Or
I'm not going to wish, whatever happens, I wish them all the very best. I love that. A short period of time, but I love the opportunity. I didn't like my life after the game because we didn't win a game. And as we were talking about before, you don't sit well when you get home, and you don't sleep well that night or the day after, but you just have to go in the next day and pick everybody else up, even though your belly's hanging on the floor. You can't let them see that. You've got to get in there and get them going. But, wonderful club, great supporters, and hopefully we'll only be in the Championship for one season.
Absolutely, thank you. So another club that are on the way of sorting themselves now, Tim.
Yep.
Spurs. So Ange Postecoglou has left Celtic to join Spurs. We had on, just before you came back, we had Neil Lennon on, Sam.
Okay.
We asked Neil Lennon, obviously, with his Celtic connections, and he said, absolutely not. Ange stays at Celtic. But you at the time, Tim, you were like, I'm not sure. And, well, you got it.
Well, I just had an inkling that they would quite like to talk to Ange. Now, listen, they've gone for a few other managers, it looks like, beforehand, but it looks like it's fell into his lap. And good luck to him. He's 58, is he now? He's had a career mostly in Australia. He's done well, and he's done very well at Celtic. And now he's come to the big league, and this is the acid test. He would find it as a culture shock, Sam would tell you. There's no gimme games. Anyone can beat anyone, especially when you're at Spurs. You can play the bottom of the league side and they will give you a game. Top of the league's very difficult. So he's going to come in with an attacking style of football, which is a brand of football, what he plays at Celtic. But you've got 4 games a year, without being too disrespectful to that league. It is not a very competitive environment. But the Premier League is the ultimate test. So it's a brave one from Tottenham's point of view. But they've tried to go safe before with the Contes and Mourinho's, and it hasn't worked. So why not roll the dice? And they've certainly done it this time. So I wish him well. He looks like a good guy and a nice personality, very straightforward. First and foremost, they need to get the recruitment right. You can't win anything without players. They talked about how good his recruitment was. A lot of Japanese guys go into Celtic, but they're at a different level to what you need in the Premier League. So, perhaps you can go to Japan and bring some players in to play in the Scottish League, but you're fishing in a different pond here to be able to fish around and bring players into the Premier League. So it'd be interesting to see how he copes with that. He's going to need help, and hopefully his biggest appointment, we just talked about it, will be the sporting director who's going to sit alongside him and help him bring in some players, what he can develop into a team. First question must have obviously been, is Harry Kane staying?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to bring that up.
And then he's got a chance. I mean, he finished 8th last season. I mean, you cannot go into Tottenham at a better time. And I mean that from a manager's point of view, because he's only got to finish better than 8th to finish in Europe. And he's a success. Now, what is the objective? When he sat down with Daniel Levy, and I know what Daniel would have said to him, we want to be Champions League. Now, realistically, Liverpool had a year off. Chelsea can't get any worse than they possibly did.
No.
Newcastle are going nowhere. You've got Man United look like they're improving. You've got Arsenal improving. Man City, we know all about them. It's going to be very difficult to finish in the Champions League. So it is, if that's the objective and the criteria to keep his job, then he'll be out of a job very soon.
Would you fancy sporting football, director of football, by the way? We were talking about Sam, but what about you? Is that a job you fancy?
No, I think
he's a manager still. He's only
for me,
how old are you anyway? How old are you?
I'm 54.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Well, get in there.
He's that old.
Don't turn the opportunity down. 54.
But listen, I think recruitment is very, very important, obviously, because you need to. Brighton do it right. We talked about it before. Brought in an unknown manager, but he's very well known to us all now.
Yeah.
But the recruitment, the players, the tools they give him to work with, and how he's improved them and moulded them into a playing philosophy which suits the club, it's been outstanding. And they make money now because he knows what they are.
Yeah.
They keep bringing them in, he improves them, they throw them out and to bigger clubs. That is going to continue to happen, but they know what the model is. They know there's a structure at the football club. So, look, I don't know what the criteria was at Tottenham. Ange is going to find it very difficult in the Premier League. I wish him well, and I hope he does well. But it's going to be certainly an eye-opener, Sam, for him, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, it's a great platform. Celtic and Rangers is a great platform for getting down to Premier League, because we've seen sort of Brendan do it, and we've seen Steven Gerrard do it by the fact that your success you get in Scotland with Rangers or Celtic is what's demanded if you are the manager. So it's never going to be easy. But when you come down into this league, it hits you like a ton of bricks. And obviously, Stevens felt the weight of that.
Yeah.
Because, less than, 18 months in, he's lost his job, And I think that, that's a huge ask. The thing about Spurs, obviously, is now, as he met his demands and as he got his own contract to coach or manage it in his own way. And I think that better than me, but I think that is somewhat, or has been with other coaches, somewhat restricted in terms of what's needed and now. And I'm really disappointed, really, in Tottenham's recruitment. Yeah. Because who influenced the recruitment recently? Did Daniel really give up and let the managers at the time get a few more of the players that they wanted, or did he stick to his usual guns on the fact that he's set up this analysis recruitment scenario years and years ago?
Yeah.
And is that really working? We all know it's working beautifully at Brighton and Brentford, but they run two totally different systems in terms of. We should all find out a bit more about that if we want to move forward.
Yeah.
So that's the big question. His first big moment is his influence on Tottenham's players, and what is he going to how is he going to go in there? Because you need to be a big character. You need to command your position. You need to earn respect, and if you do that, then you can go down the right route. Because they're so quick at sussing you out, players. Yeah, they're so quick at testing you. It's if you don't live up to that standard and that, you're quickly lost. Yeah.
Especially if you're not getting results.
Correct.
I mean, it helps if you're winning every week, then you can tell them to do whatever they want and they will listen to you. They buy in quicker. It's been very, very difficult for him. Like I say, it's crucial he gets the recruitment right. I think he's got the personality for it. I don't know him personally, but it looks like he's calm, looks like he can deal with it. I just don't want him to be the man who feels Tottenham feel like they're doing him a favour by giving him the job. I mean, he's earned the right from what he's done there at the treble at Celtic, but every manager who manages Celtic wins. They all do. Now, I'm not trying to discredit what he did up there, not by any means, but you can only finish first up there. Second is last.
Yeah.
And in Premier League, without Harry Kane, they finished 8th, 30 goals. With Harry Kane, so whether he stays or not, European football is like Man City winning the league again.
He's going to be tempted by Real Madrid money, Daniel.
Do you think he will?
Yeah, I don't think he will. I think
know you
he
said
would.
this last time. You think he should keep him and go on a free, but I mean,
I think that's what he will decide. Yeah. I think when Harry obviously wanted to go to Man City, I think if Real Madrid, the white shirt, you talk about any footballers who's ever played the game once, used to be Man United or Liverpool back in the day, and then Real Madrid. If one of them three come calling for you, you have to go.
But does he give up his chance of being the Premier League's greatest ever goal scorer?
Well, it's if he wants to play for Real Madrid, I think that only comes around once. Yeah. I think you get one shot at that.
He's so close, though. I mean, how many goals is he off being the greatest ever goal scorer in the Premier League?
2 seasons, I would say. Even in Tottenham's side.
But then again, do you want that or do you want winners' medals?
Yeah.
I mean, there's only one thing in your life is trying to.
Yeah.
It's hard with my limited talent, getting to a cup final was a dream.
Yeah.
And playing at Wembley, that hasn't been the ultimate dream, but actually winning a medal.
Yeah.
That can't be taken too lightly. And I hope some of the youngsters at Manchester City, like Phil Foden, he won 6 or 7 now?
5 Premier Leagues, 4 cups, 2 FA Cups.
You know what I mean? You can't take that lightly, because that'll be there forever. That's there forever. You know what I mean? I know being the best or the leading goal scorer of all time will be there. I'll be there forever. So, I think that it's a difficult choice for Harry and a difficult choice for Daniel Levy.
Yeah.
But will the money talk in the end? If it is the right money?
Yeah. I think it's an out for Daniel. If he wants to get rid of Harry, it's the perfect club for him to go to. He's out the way. He's not going to come back and haunt them. And it's Real Madrid, and he can say, you know what, I tried my best, but it's the biggest club in the world. Can't stand in the boys' way. He's done brilliant for the football club. And if he decides he needs to take the money and reinvest it, then I think Real Madrid is the best option for Tottenham. I think it would be the best option also for Alan Shearer.
I don't think...
Alan Shearer's negotiating the deal, as we say.
I mean, watched him the other day. I don't think he's ever been as good as he is now.
Yeah.
In his all-round game. I think he's the best striker in the country in his all-round game.
Yeah.
So there's everything that goes. There's link play. There's assists in goals, and there's goals itself. Not as many as Haaland, of course.
Yeah.
But I don't think, well, he doesn't need to do it at Man City, does he? But he does so much more at Tottenham, drops deep, picks up the ball, you know. Nutmegs one of our players, plays it out wide, you know what I mean? And his quality of finishing is with so much ease, so much class, you know. So, he's never been better.
He's got so much quality, Sam, that it's easy for him to adapt to different leagues. And Real Madrid around good players as well. It would be seamless, the transition between Benzema and him. He's got more to his game. Benzema's top drawer, don't get me wrong. But Harry can play in different styles. You know, if Ancelotti, if they decide to change manager next season, he would fit into whatever style anyone wants to play. World class.
So I heard a rumour that Real Madrid aren't keen on dealing with Daniel Levy. What is he like to negotiate with? Are the rumours true? Like, how fierce is he?
He rang me up. Sorry, Tim.
Go on.
He rang me up when I was at West Ham manager because he was having. Harry set his sights on Scott Parker.
Yeah.
And Scott Parker set his sights on Tottenham, like I mean, because it's no hidden secret that Scott's been tapped up, of course. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, when all that stuff about, you're not allowed without permission from the club. You know, it's the biggest load of bull you've ever heard in your life, like I mean, because it happens all the time now. So obviously, Daniel wasn't too keen on Scott's age, and of course. I get a phone call from him, which I thought was rather strange, like I mean. So I thought, why did you ringing me, like I mean? Because I don't have to go through David Sullivan anyway. But obviously at that time, I believe they didn't communicate too well, the pair of them. So I had a conversation with him, and I just said, well, the player is what your manager wants, and he's going to bring a lot to the team. And in terms of his value. His decrease in value because of his age will not mean too much if you're successful on the pitch and you get to the Champions League or a final or win a final, like I mean. So the money's £6 million, and it won't change because David's told me that. David Sullivan said £6 million gets the deal done, and Scott wants to leave, and I don't want to wait too long because obviously the replacement and the window shuts. So it was interesting in ringing me to see where he thinks he might get with that situation, and if I'd have said something different, I might have been in trouble if he'd have gone to David Sullivan and said, "Well, your manager says this." Like I mean, I don't know, but
what happened?
He went for £6 million in the end.
Okay.
So we were happy. Scott was happy. Harry was happy, and we got on with our business, and that was done before the end of the transfer window, which was very important for me.
Yeah. If I had a company, I'd want Daniel Levy to run it for me. I think he's one of the best businessmen, but I think he falls short when I think he listens to the last person who's spoken to him, and some of the people who are speaking to him have got hidden agendas. And he's such a bright man. It's interesting to get the wool pulled over your eyes so many times. And I mean that on the recruitment side again, on the sporting directors and decisions he's made with sporting directors and the money, what they've wasted down the years. They've spent the money. He's tried his best, and I think he does everything in the best interest of the football club. I really believe that. Magnificent stadium, fantastic training ground. But ultimately, for the fans, it's about winning. And I think he's been let down by some of the appointments he's made, not necessarily managers, but certainly players in and around, people within and around the recruitment, which haven't been great for him. So, yeah, fantastic businessman. Where he took that football club, I was a player there when he arrived. Alan Sugar was the chairman. For where we was then to where that club is now, he's done a magnificent job.
But he is a hard negotiator.
Yeah, I mean, clearly that if there's one thing I say, and I've always had a discussion at whatever club I've been at, like I mean, and no matter what the cost, no matter how much more it is than you want to pay it if it's the right player, and do it because you're better off with 3 rather than 6.
Yeah.
And the 3 will go straight in your team and make your team so much better. We're talking about one player's making so much difference in the Premier League now.
Yeah.
Like Harry Kane, not so much Alan, because they can always share it about. But so many one players make a difference to a team now than ever before.
Yeah.
Then that needs to be the act. So if it's 100 million, 120 million, 150 million, in my opinion, as the manager, I would say yes. And if that means that I'm another player short somewhere else for the season, then I'll accept that if it's not in the budget. You know what I mean? And so I think the quality of player you buy, and Tottenham have never gone into the 80, 90 or 100 millions, have they?
They've spent a lot of 60s, a lot of them, a lot of 45s, 50s, and the players who they spent that on are no longer there.
Yeah.
So it's wasted, really. And what they recruit for them afterwards is probably 20s and 30s, so they end up doing money. So I always say, don't bring in the average players. Save your money and bring in the make the difference player. But do your business early. You as a manager, Sam, want your business done early so you can get the player pre-season. Daniel always does it back end of the window because he knows he drives a hard bargain. Daniel Levy will take your eyes out and he'll come back for your eyelids because you don't need them anymore. And that is what he does.
I like that one. I'm going to remember that one.
That is what he does. I mean, he's just brilliant at it. I mean, you do not want to negotiate with Daniel Levy.
We hope you're enjoying watching No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill. And don't forget, you need to subscribe to the Footy Accumulators YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. I wanted to ask you about David De Gea at Manchester United, because obviously when you went into Leeds, changing the goalkeeper was the first thing that you did. So do you think Manchester United need to now say thank you for your 10 years of service, maybe more? I don't know how long De Gea's been there, 9, and move on and get a new keeper this
only if they're confident in their recruitment and who that replacement is going to be, because that's big shoes to fill. I mean, Ilan is and will probably be in Leeds team straight away next year. The fact of the matter is that he just made too many mistakes, and the previous coach continued to let them mistakes, so his confidence began to diminish even farther and farther and farther. So it was a huge decision for me, my first decision, but it had to be made because I couldn't allow myself to let him keep going into that team and making another. I would blame myself rather than him. So we took him out and.
How did you tell him, Sam? Did you pull him
1-on-1? Very miserable, very angry with me, of course.
Good. Well, you expect that.
And you expect that, like you mean, but,
Can you see a relief in his eyes, or?
No, very, very upset, for a bit sulky for a couple of days, and then after that was okay. But Joe went in and did a really good job, and I think with his experience and what he did at that one time, I can't knock his performances.
Yeah.
Which was great for me because, can you imagine me, my first game and Joel messes up and like, what's he doing putting him in goal?
That was a big shout.
You know what I mean? You got to make them decisions. So, but he'll be there. He's a quality goalkeeper.
But that decision with De Gea is a difficult one because we're talking about one of the most experienced goalkeepers. He's on the back of winning the Golden Glove. I know the defenders play a large part of that as well. But I think he makes too many mistakes. I really do. And for him to hold out, why isn't he signing this contract? I don't think he can possibly go to a bigger club than where he's at. I know they want to give him less money, but I'll be ripping the pen out of their hands and signing that contract as quick as I possibly could.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
He's not going to be a number 2. They're not signing him on that money to be a number 2.
No, absolutely
not. So he's still going to play every single week at a giant of a football club, Manchester United.
You're absolutely right there. Unless that money is less than somebody else has offered him.
Yeah.
It's somewhere, well, obviously probably back in Spain, like I mean, but that country's not that rich football wise and financially, is it? You know what I mean? So where would he go, like you mean? So, I agree that he should snap their hands off and as he's been there such a long time, and if the manager really thinks he's still the man, he's the big decision maker now, isn't he? Because he's sorted United out in one season, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So I admire him.
Yeah.
I admire what he's done because he's just gone, this is me. This is how I coach. This is what I do. You do what I tell you, otherwise you're out.
And they let him get on with it, haven't they?
And he get on with it. And so, well, he earned that respect. And he's earned that respect from the players because he did one thing, and that's he
Ronaldo.
wouldn't put up with Ronaldo and just went, see ya.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is the bravest decision. I mean,
Yeah.
I talk about being brave about leaving the goalie out. Him getting rid of Ronaldo at Man United. It was massive at the time, but it's paid dividends, obviously.
Yeah. Well, with De Gea, though, he can't play. So he can't play with his feet.
No.
You know, he's one of the worst goalkeepers in the league at that. He's a good shot stopper. Ten Hag's team, especially the Ajax side, like to play. And we know talks about playing different ways, not being too stubborn when they're playing out. He cannot play out with this goalkeeper.
Yeah.
When Pep first went to Man City, first decision he made, got Artie out. Everyone said, you can't get rid of him. He's big in the dressing room. He's this. He said, no, Pep said, I'll do that, whatever needs to be done in the dressing room. He cannot play, so I need to get him out. And that's exactly what he did. It needs to start from your goalkeeper. So big decision for Ten Hag.
Yeah, and they've conceded a few trying to play out from the back this season.
By the way, how much pressure did Pep put on goalkeepers? Because they have to be outfield players.
They do, right?
It's not just enough and hard enough being a bloody goalkeeper on your own. You have to be a footballing goalkeeper, and everybody is looking for one now. So I think that you have to complete a different training program if you want that, because you'd have to let them join in with your outfield players, and not just put them back in goal and say deal with this or deal with that. I actually get them out there to feel more comfortable, get the first touch better, and everything like that. Like I mean, but I mean, it is a huge factor. Have I got a goalkeeper that can deliver the ball short, long, left, right, down the middle? You know, and I think that it's a huge bonus now if you've got that.
Ederson can play midfield for 3/4 of the Premier League.
Do you think?
Ederson's the best.
100%.
Ederson's the best long passer they've got.
Yeah.
Nobody can pass the ball better than him.
Yeah.
Over 40, 50 metres.
And he picks the right pass.
And he picks the right pass, He's brilliant.
I love the way City players can just play in so many different positions. Now, before we go on to talk about the Champions League final, which is taking place on Saturday, I just want to quickly mention a Twitter account that I showed you both earlier.
Yes.
We want to say a big shout out to Del_Callaway, who's been making edits of our podcast. And we should say clearly edits of the podcast. We quite enjoyed watching them though, didn't we?
That's brilliant. Keep up the good work. Fantastic.
I tell you, I don't know how easy it is to edit that, like you mean, but to go through the whole podcast to edit it down to 2 minutes, is it? And make it as funny as you made it. I mean, it's hilarious. So very good. Absolutely excellent.
There you go, Del. Keep up the good work. You have the No Tippy Tappy Football seal of approval. Okay, so the Champions League final. Saturday.
Yeah.
Are either of you giving Inter Milan a chance, or what sort of chance are you giving them?
One fear for me is that Pep's attacking play and attacking formation, and the fact that I think he'll continue down that route. And I wouldn't want him to fall into the trap he fell in against Chelsea, where Tuchel sucked him in and then caught him on the counter-attack, and then Chelsea defended that well throughout that, which is renowned for the Italian style of play. The Italians score one goal, it's always enough for them.
Yeah.
You know, and the rest of the frustration is then trying to break them down. Now, Man City have always had enough talent to eventually break teams like that down, like you mean, but you know, this is the Champions League final. They've never won it. You know, how many players have won the Champions League for Man City?
I think Scott Carson's the only one, to be honest. Yeah.
So they're going to be, nervous. They want to win the first one. Pep wants to win one because he hasn't won one since Barcelona.
Yeah.
He's been there before. So there's a slight, concern for me about the team you're playing against, who are not as good as Manchester City.
Yeah.
We know that, but in discipline terms and defending terms are normally excellent, and that could be, Man City trying to break that down and leaving spaces for that counter-attack, which they have been, apart from early on in the season, they were vulnerable for it. If you look at Manchester City's defensive record, I mean, they only conceded the first goal ever in the FA Cup. It was a penalty.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at the back end of the season and how many clean sheets they had. And, you know, it's me boasting again about the most important thing is the best defence in the league. Yeah. You'll win the league. And Man City have done that again, you know what I mean?
I think Stones helps him with that.
Yeah.
In the position where he's playing now.
I know.
I was watching him at the weekend. When I was at the game. It's so great to see him. He's getting the ball on a half turn. He's playing. He's jumping from that position. As soon as someone else jumps, say if Carl Walker moves forward, he just sits in. You know, Diaz sees some space, drops in. He drops back. I mean, he's a good knowledge of the game, and I think he's helped him just to stop the counter attack. For me, if I'm into Milan, I'm looking at the cup final. I'm thinking not expanded too much energy there. I know it's a hot day. It didn't make too many changes from Pep's normal point of view, but I just think in the biggest game in world football, we are quite likely, and I know the manager's not going to say this publicly, it is quite conceivable that we could get beat 5 or 6 here against this side. Man City can do that to anyone. Now, that is a scary thought. Now, Sam's absolutely right. The Italians do not play like that. They won't open up. They'll cover up. It'll be beauty versus the beast. They will not want the ball at all. They won't get it anyway. And they will try and counter-attack. The only problem they got is they ain't got a lot of pace. Dzeko and Martinez up front ain't very quick. So they'll still play on the halfway line. They will keep possession. They'll try and mesmerise them. They will rest on the ball. And they'll just rely on their players who can play in that tight area, which is going to be very condensed, to break the deadlock. Even if they go 1 up, they still won't come out until very late on in the game. If they go 2 up, then I think it could be floodgates, and I think it could be embarrassing for Inter Milan. So I'm looking on the positive. I know what Sam's doing. He's trying to worry you. But I think...
You worried me more there.
No.
As soon as you said that, my stomach
No,
jumped.
I don't think there's... I really don't think there's any... Let's face it. Not one Inter Milan player plays for Man City.
No, absolutely
not one
not.
of them.
Absolutely not.
But it doesn't always work out like that.
No, but Man City need to score the first goal. Then I think it could be...
Floodgates.
Yeah.
No. Oh,
Do.
my goodness.
I've got a feeling...
Man City don't
it's 4 or
score the
5.
first goal, then I think it's... You know, it's gonna be very, very interesting because it's all about controlling your own emotions then, and does that stir the inner drive? This is nothing to do with the manager, the player. Does the player go, this is not going to happen again? We ain't going to lose this one, and then pull out something special when needed, because they've got so many players that can pull out something special when needed. And there's not a better time than when a player does that at the right moment in time.
Goodness, I'm not going to sleep
It's
now,
Haaland,
am I?
it's all about Haaland, surely. What's he got? 1 in 7?
Something like
He's in
that,
a proper drought, isn't he? I mean, it's not happening for him at the moment.
That's all right. I'm sure he's all right.
He'll turn up Saturday. Don't worry about that. He turns up.
So. You mentioned John Stones there already, who's just been absolutely sensational. I mean, Kyle Walker continues to impress me as well. I mean, I think he's still the fastest player. I think he was the fastest player in the Premier League.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Where do you sit on him in terms of the best Premier League's ever seen at right back?
Yeah, I would say.
Up there versus Gary Neville?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say slightly better.
Gary. I would say better, better. I think he's got more...
Not being too disrespectful to Gary if you're listening, sorry, Gary. But yeah, I think all-round game, more pace, but, up and down, better quality, handles the more challenging winger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And can nullify him now. So, unlike most fullbacks today who can't defend, who are more interested in going forward than defending, he does both exceptionally well now. And uses his turbo feet to sometimes get himself out of trouble when he's in the wrong position, doesn't he?
Whereas other defenders, they find themselves, when they can't run, they find themselves in the wrong position as well, and they can't get themselves out of it. We talk about as if, his pace, that gets him out of trouble, as if that's wrong. I mean, that's part of his armoury, and I remember watching him playing for Sheffield United, and him and Carl Norton, and straight away I was back to Tottenham. We have to take this boy, he's just ridiculous. And unfortunately, for both of them, fortunately, but Tottenham strangely took both of them. Same position, same age.
Yeah.
2 right backs coming from Sheffield United to Tottenham. And they've both had very good careers, but obviously Kyle Walker's career has been magnificent. I mean, what I like about Kyle is he used to play his own game, used to be very insular and just play his game and go home and that. But now he's a leader. You can tell it within the group. He's a senior player, talking to the others, you know, putting them right on a lot of stuff off the field as well. Just the way he reacts around the group is just magnificent. His pace we all know about. His positioning, he gets by with it. Defending at the back post is his weakness if you want me to find one. But where do you see that anymore? When people lump balls into the box, to the back post, you know, they don't see it. You certainly won't see it in a Champions League final unless it's Dzeko on a free kick. So I think he's absolutely magnificent, and the boy's had a wonderful career. Don't look like slowing up.
What's about this new emerging left back at Man City? By the way, I can't remember his name.
Oh, Akanji?
Akanji. Yeah.
Oh, Kanji from
Oh,
German.
what a job he's done there! Like,
Amazing.
You know, all of a sudden I've gone, wow, what is this lad?
Yeah.
Is he centre half? No,
Yeah.
Just put him there.
But Sam, when
unbelievable.
when you stand next to them, boy, you did it yourself. How big are they?
Oh,
How big is Rodri?
oh.
I mean, he's 6'5", this kid. I mean,
like-
they're powerful.
Yeah. It's like the old Arsenal team.
That's exactly
like the
right.
old Arsenal-
There's only Bernardo who's an Oompa Loompa. The rest of them are absolute machines.
I like that one.
They are machines, aren't they? I mean,
Absolutely,
you want to fight them, they'll beat you
I'll
up.
do you. Yeah, definitely.
You want to play football
Definitely.
against them, they'll do that as well.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
Got the lot.
Poor Bernardo Silva. I've got
No,
pictures
he's
of
a
him
good
now.
Oompa Loompa. He's a good one, by the way. You can't get near him.
Okay, so score predictions, please.
Oh, I'm a 3-0 for Man City.
I'm going to go 4, but possibly 5.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to go quite embarrassing for Inter Milan. Can't wait to get out of there.
I feel sick.
Where's he being played at?
Istanbul.
Okay.
Istanbul, yes, the fly out on Thursday.
Oh.
It's 10 p.m. kickoff in Istanbul, though. I'm going to be shattered. I'm usually in bed at 10 p.m. So,
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. See if I can stay awake for the Champions League final. Yes, so that is, of course, Saturday. Right, I've got some quick-fire questions for you to finish off for the season. A couple of quick-fire questions, then we're going to do something slightly different to finish. So, quick-fire, do Spurs get in the top 4 under Ange Postecoglou?
Not with a group of players they've got at the moment.
Not this season. Or next season, rather, should I say.
Okay. So we heard that there was some. We've had unheard stories from Sam's pre-seasons. Do you have any stories from pre-seasons that you can tell us, Tim?
Nothing that entertaining. I mean, we had a good trip to. When I was at Watford as a kid, I was only 16 years of age. We had a trip to China at the end of the season, and Elton John come with us. That was a good trip. So we went for 10 days to China. Elton come with us, and one day he joined in a session with us playing. And I remember the boys were saying to me, "Get and kick him." And it just rained before. It was very hot over there, and it was a really slippery surface. And someone played the ball into him, and I just flew into a tackle and just took him out. And he was rolling around on the floor. And I remember Eddie Plumley, who was the chief exec, marched onto his suit on, marched onto the pitch, and he was going, swearing at me, and I was like, "Oh, sorry, what have I done?" And Elton's still rolling around, and he got carried off the pitch.
Elton John came on pre-season tour with you when you were at Spurs. And
Watford.
At Watford.
As a kid, I was only 16. I was only 16, so
this makes more sense.
And
He couldn't sing "I'm Still Standing."
No, not then. Not that day. Not that day. I see him actually. I was with my eldest. She's now 26, but I was in Savile Row, and I walked past Richard James, one of the shops, and the doorman come and got me, and Elton was in there, and he had bodyguards and all that. This is years down the line. And then he pulled me back into the shop. So my little girl's looking up there at Elton John, and he's telling everyone in there that story. It was amazing. I was like, "Oh, God, Elton, I'm driving me mad. I've got to go."
I love it. You two put it down, John. That is brilliant.
If you go online, you'll find there's someone wrote. I mean, Luther Blissett wrote a story about it, and he was like, "What has he done?" And I thought that for a split second. I thought maybe I've smashed his leg in.
We waited to the last episode of the season for that story, and it was worth it. Loved that.
You never asked me before.
I would lead with that in future. Burnley are back in pre-season training. What do you think of that?
Well, I was listening to, and they're saying that he didn't want them to have so much time without doing anything, in terms of fit training and stuff like that. Wouldn't go down very well with the players at all, or the families. But his choice. My choice has always been, as we have to get softer. Our life is all a bit more softer, and we have to deal with players a little bit more gently with their temperament today. Is do your own programs given to them by the fitness coaches, strength and conditioning coaches, specific time off doing absolutely nothing, then start this program, and then it's with the tech we've got, they're flogging in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He couldn't get away with like Ian Marshall putting his fitness belt on his dog. You know what I mean? So old Marshy tried that. I said, Marshy, you should be dead, because if you had a heart rate like that, you wouldn't be here, mate. Like, I mean, so he admitted it. He put it on his dog instead of putting it himself. We used to let him stay at home, like, because Marshy was just great in his latter years. But
going to be a long season for them.
Yeah.
But there's a lot with Burnley. Yeah. I mean, the games are it's not the Championship. There is plenty of time to do a running session if you want to top up the fitness during the week in the Premier League. Yeah. And the games don't come around thick and fast like they do in the Champ. So I'm sure Vincent's doing it for the right reasons. But I remember a couple of months ago, Sam, I heard you say something about, I'm not sure where it was. Correct me if it wasn't you, but I'm sure it was when you said when the team got beat, or you taking them away, and you thought mid-season it was the right thing to do, and you were not to worry about what the fans think. No. Sometimes the fans say, "Well, are they taking them away?" You just want to get results. Yeah. It might be the best thing for them to clear their minds, camaraderie, get them together. Was it you who said it, Sam?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
You said you won the next game, so then you were like, "Ha."
I like that. I wish you would have managed it with me.
Yeah, because Dubai was the most the biggest tonic of all.
Yeah,
that's like Bolton, Blackburn, Newcastle. I didn't get there at Crystal Palace. We didn't get the time to get there. We ended up in
Skegness.
No, we ended up in Morocco instead. But I mean, the time factor, and I always come back to the players and say, whatever you do, lads, try and win, because we're going to get not only that, from above.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a waste of time, that trip. You know how much that trip cost us? You know what I mean? Yeah. So you got all that stuff you have to put up with, like, I mean, but it's easy to give and look at the stats and send the stats to your owner.
Yeah.
Or say into the press our stats have improved over the last 10 games or 14 games by the fact that we have taken this break.
Yeah.
Well, what results may not have been as big or as good as we wanted, but they can still be justified by what your performance levels have hit.
Yeah.
And that's great about the technology that we have now. So there you go. Look at this. This is what we were doing when before we went away. This is what we did after we came back, and we finished the season so much stronger now because we had that mental and physical break, not to be worried or thinking about football, and in the sunshine.
Yeah.
And like, so you've luckily you couldn't do that in our day. You couldn't justify it because you didn't have the stats to justify it, like, I mean, but you can but the only way you really justify it is you hope your players get better results. And then you get fewer injuries because they've actually recovered, they've actually recharged the batteries, filled the tank up, and they can't wait to go again. And you go, and it's always a motivator for, like, what I'd say, winter day, lads, you can come in Thursday. And they go, wow, can you imagine that? You know what I mean? But if you're bottom of the league, and you do that and he gets out, you're the worst manager in the world.
Yeah.
And the press would slaughter him, all that, like, I mean, but, and the players would go, come on, like, I mean, come on. I mean, Bolton did that. It lasted 7 games. Won 7, drew 2. Well, didn't win 7, win 5, drew. You know what I mean? Lads just kept on going.
Yeah.
And that's so. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You decide when and where and how to do it. Sometimes they're in at 6:30 in the morning because you got to play with the mind.
Yeah.
So don't be that bad again.
Yeah.
And if you're that bad again, you'll be in at 6:30 again in the morning, watching the game all the way through. Or sitting for 95 minutes. It's your choice.
Yeah.
Right, quick.
Was that a short answer again?
Never. I love it. Right, these are going to be short answers. I'm only letting you say 1 or 2 words. Which club will these players be at next season? So there you go. You've got 1 or 2 words.
Probably.
Okay, ready? Mason Mount.
Man United.
Man United.
Harry Kane.
Tottenham.
Declan Rice.
Arsenal.
Oh, Sam's pondering.
Man City.
Ooh, do you know something, Sam?
Somebody will go back the other way.
Somebody.
Might be Rodri.
Oh,
Jeez.
oh. Okay, right.
We could go there and
I was
be
thinking
happy we're going
Calvin
there.
Phillips would go there.
Calvin.
Who?
Pep would give him a
Calvin
chance to
Phillips?
succeed.
No. Oh, Calvin Phillips to West Ham, Declan Rice to City.
Love it.
Wow.
If I know Moisey, there'd have to be a player in the deal for him,
Yeah.
and that would mean that it would be easier for the club who's buying him because they wouldn't have to pay David Sullivan's.
Yeah.
It would be over 100 million in total, but it would be so much under that player. And that player would be valued that, which would take the deal over 100 million, and David would get somebody that he really needed.
That wasn't 1 or 2 words, but I'm fine with that, Sam, because that was juicy.
But you did a ooh.
I really did. I like that. Okay.
A ooh.
If Declan
Thinking
goes
about that.
Man City, for me, he plays centre half.
Centre half. Well, you got about 5 of those.
Well, you've just seen what John Stone's done in midfield.
There we go, yeah.
He's better than John Stones
He can do
in that
that,
position.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow. Okay, that was great. James Maddison.
Newcastle.
I love that Sam's really thinking about this.
Yeah. He's trying him for Moisey again. Who?
Tottenham.
Oh. Tim's eyebrows raised this
I
time.
would love to see it. I think he's a very good player.
It's a lovely,
You know,
lovely Daniel deal, that one, isn't it? He'd be rubbing his hands, wouldn't he? Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
A Daniel
I mean,
deal.
it's one the fans would buy into.
Yeah, he's better than...
You need a lot more than him,
When I
though.
watched, keep him fit, when I watched, he improves Tottenham's team.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Lionel Messi.
Barcelona.
So Saudi.
I think he takes a wage cut and goes home
Okay.
because he's not struggling at the moment. He's still financially secure.
Go to Saudi in a few years then, couldn't he, if he needs to top up that pension. Okay, and the last one, Harry Maguire.
Oh, West Ham.
Yeah. Tottenham. They need him
Could do it.
badly.
That's another Daniel one. That's off Man United, though. I'm not sure that'll work unless Harry goes there. Oh,
Ooh.
can you imagine that? Harry goes there.
Harry
goes there.
Not Harry Kane. Harry Maguire needs to leave Man United for his own England career and his own career at the moment, because
It's not harming his England career at the moment, though.
no,
Might
but
harm it, but when you
it
see
will
him play-
do. It will do eventually.
Yeah,
When-
got to, innit?
Yeah, it's got to. We've all seen it happen. Like, I mean, when you drop out your team, you don't last that long in England. You get a reprieve when you're as good as he's done for England, but it won't be forever.
Well, thank you. Thank you so
Pleasure.
much to both of
Yeah.
you. So that
Tim.
is our
Well
last
done, mate.
episode
Have a good
of
time,
the
mate.
season.
Well done.
Thank you,
So
Sam.
that-
It's been a
yeah,
pleasure.
lovely.
And thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Tim. And thank you all
And all
for
you
listening.
guys behind the scenes there that don't
you're-
get mentioned.
Yeah, you've done all right.
Thank you very much, lads.
We do have a full team behind us
Do,
here.
haven't we? Yes.
Yes, and
Yeah.
thank you for listening or watching No Tippy Tappy Football. We were supposed to just be was it 6, 7, 8 episodes, Sam? But
Well, yes, it's gone well.
20-something episodes we've
Excellent.
done.
Brilliant.
And we will be back next season. So our first episode next season will be just before the Charity Shield. Who does City play in that, by the way? Is it United or Arsenal? Is it the runners-up in the FA Cup or the runners-up in the league?
FA Cup runners-up.
Oh, brilliant. Great. Another Manchester derby.
With the treble in their pocket.
So thank you so much for joining us this season on No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill.